Alycats and new viewers. So, today is finally the day where I start my top 20 games of 2014 Best of Edition. Yes, I said 20. A lot of people have lamented that 2014 sucked for gaming. I disagree with that. There were so many games that I actually I had a hard time narrowing it down to 20. So this first part will be games 20 through 11, second part will be 10 through 1. And keep in mind, these are my personal choices. They will not match up to yours probably. And that might include, I might skip a game you loved, and if I skip a game you loved, it's either because I didn't enjoy it or I haven't played it yet. So please keep that in mind, have fun, sit back and relax, and enjoy the video. The first game up, which I have written on a card because it's a downloadable game, is D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die. Now, D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die is Swery65's latest masterpiece, and it is a polarizing game, but it's so fun. You play as David Young, who is trying to solve the murder of his wife, Little Peggy, and he just goes around, and the first 2 episodes in the prologue, he's exploring this plane that crashed, but he goes in the past to explore the plane. There's this myriad of characters who are very strange. There's different kind of mini games you can do to increase your synchro rate, and you're just trying to solve the murder of your wife basically. But all these characters are incredible. They're very well done. They're super weird, but that's why we love Swery65, and it's just so much fun. You can play with the Kinect, which is actually recommended, but I could sadly only play with my controller. But I do have to say the controls are perfectly suited, so you can do either or. And I adore this game. I love the visual style. It's kind of cel-shaded, kind of not. So if you're a fan of Swery65's previous work like Deadly Premonition, I would say definitely download this game. It's an Xbox One exclusive. If you're not sure about D4, it will be free in January on Games with Gold. So give it a try then if you're curious about it. But yeah. And I forgot to mention that the trailers for all these games will be listed down below in the description box so you can see what I'm talking about. Number 19 is Valiant Hearts: The Great War, another downloadable game. This one's by Ubisoft, and it's gorgeous. It's about the story of 4 different people during World War I, I believe, and a dog. And you just go around and solve puzzles, and you see the atrocities of war. And you pick up like these little knickknacks and all that kind of stuff, and they give you insight into the war, and you learn about like the gases they used during the war, the weapons, what happened in the trenches, stuff like that, and what each item is used for, like a surgical mask or whatever. And it's very interesting. If you're into history, definitely check this game out. And if you like puzzle games and games that kind of make you feel things, definitely check this out. And some of the puzzles are kind of redundant, repetitive, stuff like that. But overall, this is a very entertaining game and a very touching game, and I highly recommend it. Number 18 is Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Now this game is incredible. It's just incredible how they managed to mesh together the worlds of Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright into one game, and they did a great job. You're exploring the town of Labyrinthia, which is full of mysteries, and you do play as both Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright. Most of the game you play as Layton, solving puzzles, grabbing hint coins, but the other part of the game you play as Phoenix Wright, and you're trying to prove Espella Cantabella innocent. And this game deals with witches also, which is a very interesting topic, and I just love the whole game. Now, if you're not a big puzzle fan or a visual novel type of fan, this game is not for you because both of those feature heavily in this. But if you're a fan of either franchise, definitely pick this game up. Or if you've never played one of these games in any of the series, any of the games in any of the series, but you're a puzzle or kind of crime-solving fan or visual novel type of fan, this game is perfect for you. It's incredible. I loved it. It's beautiful. The cutscenes are great. The voice actors did a great job for the most part. Definitely pick it up. It's worth it. It's worth it a lot. 17 is Child of Light. This is another downloadable game from Ubisoft, and it's kind of like an RPG light type of game. The creator of this game was inspired by early Final Fantasy games, and he was frustrated because he couldn't find any games that his daughter could play that were like what he experienced with Final Fantasy. So he created Child of Light, and you play as Aurora, who is sent to this mysterious town when she falls into a deep sleep. Her father's ailing, he's sick, and you go around and you meet this miscreant group of misfits, and it's just so touching. I actually really liked how they had the rhyming aspect of the game. Like every word of line of dialogue rhymes with the the next line of dialogue, like the A-B style of rhyming. And it's a gorgeous game. Beautiful, beautiful game. I mean, crazy beautiful. And it's just so much fun. It can be a little tricky at times to try to figure out the battle system because it is turn-based, but it's fairly simple in its controls, and it's not too difficult of a game. The puzzles aren't like, you're not going to tear your hair out with the puzzles. This game is meant to just enjoy the story and the battle system, and to enjoy the beautiful, lush watercolor visuals. This game is amazing. If you're a sucker for a game with a great story and with RPG elements, Child of Light is perfect for you. 16 on my list is Bravely Default. Now this game is a spiritual successor to Final Fantasy IV Heroes of Light, and this game is actually really, really well done. I was surprised. Now, yes, the second half of the game kinda drags the game down, but overall this is still a very fun game. I love the job system. You could choose between all these different jobs. I adored the characters. My favorites were Agnes and Ringabel, and it's just a beautiful game. Square Enix always makes beautiful games, and this definitely has that Final Fantasy feel to it. And it's very unique in the battle system because you can either Brave, which is where you attack, but you can use like double the attack points but you sacrifice a turn, or you can Default where you sacrifice a turn but you build up strength so you can have a stronger attack. So it's very unique, and it's just a lovely, lovely story. The world in this game is amazing. Of course, like I said, it's beautiful, and it's a great RPG. If you're an RPG fan and you have a 3DS, pick up Bravely Default. Even though, yes, it is way too lengthy, about 70 hours, and the second half drags it down, it's full of filler, I still recommend this game. It's still a lot of fun to play, and I really hope Bravely the Second comes out in the US because that looks really, really good. And this game was way better than I thought it would be. It's amazing, so definitely check it out if you haven't yet. Number 15 is Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call. Now, if you're a rhythm fan, this is a must-play game. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, must-play game. This has over 200 songs from the Final Fantasy universe, and Final Fantasy games have some of the best soundtracks in gaming. And you play as a team of 4 iconic characters from the Final Fantasy series. You choose which characters you play, and you go through them, you finish the songs, and according to your rating, you get more rhythmia, and this rhythmia eventually allows you to unlock new characters, concept art, new songs, yada yada yada. And this is a sequel to Theatrhythm Final Fantasy. Gosh, Alyssa, too excited. But Theatrhythm Final Fantasy was the precursor to this, so if you played that, this game is superior to that. If you haven't played the first one, you can just pick this one up and play it. It's got the same songs, plus more, and it's a gorgeous game, very beautiful. They've retooled the different stages of the musical rhythm gameplay. It's incredible, and there's so much content to this. You could play this for hours and hours and hours. I put over 30 hours into this before I saw credits roll, and I still haven't actually played all the songs, got all the rhythmia, all that. So this has a lot of replayability. So if you're a rhythm fan, Final Fantasy fan, whatever, check this game out. It's so much fun. So much fun, so addictive. Worth it. Worth it so much. Number 14 on my list is The Last of Us Left Behind. Now, this is a DLC game. It's a companion to The Last of Us, but in my opinion, this could be a standalone game. And it is recommended to play The Last of Us before you play this because there is a story component in this game that ties into The Last of Us. But you play as Ellie, a girl who is part of the apocalypse, and this game flashes between the part in The Last of Us that I will not spoil if you haven't played that game, and her time where the apocalypse basically just started. So her and her friend Riley go and explore the shopping mall, and you know, it's a very, very refreshing change from the actual game. You know, you get to just go around and explore this mall. You go to a photo booth and you can upload your pictures to Facebook. You can go in this toy shop and put on different masks, and you read jokes from Ellie's joke book, and you see these girls evolve and discover themselves, and it's just so beautiful and so amazing. So if you're a fan of The Last of Us, this is a definite download. You need to play this. It fills in the story and also adds to the story. It's just so beautiful, and you get to play as Ellie. It's amazing. I have so much praise for this game. It's not even funny. It's just fantastic. Download it. It's worth the $15 price tag. Trust me. Even though it's only about 2 or 3 hours long, this is definitely a game in its own right, and it should be played. It should be played and loved and adored and all of that. Number 13 is Game of Thrones Episode 1, Telltale Games Game of Thrones. Now I know it's kind of weird to put just one episode because the other episodes are going to be in 2015, but this first episode totally blew my expectations out of the water, and it's just a definite download if you're a Game of Thrones fan. I do have to warn you though, if you're not caught up to Season 3, I'll wait to play this until you've caught up. But you play as a member, well actually 4 members of House Forrester, which is a fictional family which was not in George R.R. Martin's universe, but it is now. And they were under House Stark until House Stark fell, and now they're under House Bolton, and you deal with all these different characters from the series. Like, you deal with Marjorie Tyrell, Cersei Lannister, and Tyrion Lannister in the first episode, and they're all voiced by their respective voice actors. I mean, Lena Headey, Natalie Dormer, and Peter Dinklage all voice their characters, which is amazing to me. And this is actually Telltale's most realistic game they have made yet. It looks very, almost, not lifelike, but it's their best looking game, in my opinion. And they actually have the theme song and intro to Game of Thrones in this episode, and it's just so incredible to see it in video game form, and just to go dun 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 along with it when it's playing. It's amazing, and it is quite lengthy, about 2 to 2.5 hours long, but it's well worth the playthrough. Your choices matter in this first episode, they truly matter, and it's just amazing. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, this is so faithful to the series, but I would say you have to be a Game of Thrones fan to actually probably enjoy this game to its fullest extent. Number 12 is Tales from the Borderlands Episode 1, and again, like with Game of Thrones, I know it's weird to put just the first episode on my best games of 2014 list, because most of the episodes are going to be released next year. But again, this first episode was so mind-blowingly good that I had to include it on this list. You play as 2 playable characters this time in this game, Rhys and Fiona, and you're on Pandora. You're on Pandora. Rhys worked for Hyperion, and he's trying to get this the vault key, and Fiona actually lived on Pandora, and she was raised by a criminal along with her sister, and you just experience their stories. And of course, this game has humor all over the place. You get to see Zero, who was in the second game. He's a prominent part of the first episode. You get to see some characters from the previous games, and here you see Handsome Jack, and it's just a lot of fun. It has shooting, it has looting, even though it's not in the typical Borderlands vein, it still has those. And again, it's quite lengthy, 2 to 2.5 hours, but it's so beautiful, so well done, and it just gives you more insight into the Borderlands universe. So if you're a Borderlands fan, check it out. Or if you have not played Borderlands, this is the perfect starting off point, because you really don't need to know much about Borderlands to enjoy this game. So I highly recommend it. Really highly recommend it. And number 11, the end of this video, is Sunset Overdrive. Now, Sunset Overdrive is the latest game from Insomniac Games. It's an Xbox One exclusive, and you make your own customizable character, and it's got kind of a feel of Jet Set Radio or Jet Grind Radio, whatever you want to call it, mixed with Ratchet and Clank, mixed with kind of Saints Row, and it's just a hodgepodge, but it works really, really well. The humor is fantastic in it. They poke fun at the game industry. It's saturated with color, which is such a welcome reprieve from most games, because most games, you know, are use the lovely palette of brown in most games, like shooters and stuff, or they use just like greens and blues and, you know, that kind of stuff. This game is drenched in color, and I love the aspect of having to grind along the city. Like, I actually grind on telephone wires, railings, stuff like that, and you get all these awesome weapons like the TN Teddy, which is a gun that shoots exploding teddy bears. There is a kitty gun where you have this robotic dog, you shoot the gun and it displays a holographic cat, and it goes and chases after the cat, and it destroys all the enemies in the area. There's a vinyl record gun which shoots vinyl records and plays the songs as it shoots them out. It's amazing. It's got great weaponry, great gameplay. I love just the whole exploring the city by jumping and grinding aspect, and the characters are hilarious. There are a few niggles with the game, like I said, there's some repetitive missions. It does get a little tedious sometimes to have to travel all the way across the map. There are fast travel points, but again, it's more fun to actually explore and move across the map on your own. But other than that, Sunset Overdrive is a lot of fun. If you have an Xbox One, definitely buy this, and it is, to me, a system seller for the Xbox One. It's just so much fun, and it's very adult, but it's awesome. It's awesome sauce. So that wraps up my first part of my top 20 games of 2014 list. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for part 2, which is 10 through 1. And if you like this video, please leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, because Alycats are awesome. Favorite, so your friends and family can see, and share me as long as you do it nicely. And I'll see you in a little bit with part 2. Bye!